What's going on, guys? Riggs here, and the highly anticipated, the highly requested series on the channel is back, and it is better than ever. We are bringing you not a ranker, not a YouTube personality, but we are bringing you an actual pro player that we're going to be featuring. Now, fair warning, you're probably going to have to watch this video twice. One, for the things we're going to be discussing. We have Richie here with us, and he has all the tips and tricks. I mean, everything that's going on with the comp scene, tons and tons of stuff to go over. And the second time you're going to have to watch this is to focus on the gameplay. Mute me, watch the gameplay. It is insane. It is nonstop, 15 minutes of nonstop adrenaline action. So sit back, relax, and I really hope you enjoy this episode. And of course, after watching this video till the very end, down in the description, I'll also have a card up at the top. Make sure you guys check out Richie's channel. He features a lot of montages. He's doing a lot of pro scrims and tournaments. He's played in PMCO. He's played in the crew challenges, the club, the star challenge, and of course all different types of tier 1 scrims. So make sure you guys show him some love. Tell him who sent you. All right, you guys. So like I said, Richie is a competitive PUBG Mobile player. Outside of gaming, he is still in college, and he is working a part-time job, and he's also doing an internship. So definitely has his plate full. So we're going to get right into the action. I asked him, what got you into PUBG Mobile? He says, back when I got into video games in general, I started playing mobile games because I didn't have a good computer to run most games. I'm sure that sounds very familiar for a lot of our situations. He says, I started getting into shooters when I saw and started playing Rules of Survival. He later switched over to PUBG as soon as it came out because he was watching a lot of PUBG PC content on YouTube and, of course, following the competitive scene on PUBG PC. And next question, now we're getting into some more of the juicier questions, if you will. I said, you were at one time mainly an FPP player. I've known Richie for a very, very long time. I said, do you like TPP more now since competition has now shifted over to TPP, or what do you actually prefer? He says, back during seasons 1 through 3, pretty much everybody played FPP in Classics. I definitely preferred FPP over TPP at that time, and especially there were a lot more tournaments, especially ESL at that time was 100% FPP. And then he mentions how since then ESL and many, many other tournaments, just especially the big one that most of you guys watching this know is the Club Open, is 100% third-person perspective. He says, so any and all scrims are in TPP, and you pretty much just have to get accustomed to it. It's just kind of one of those things where it is what it is, and you're going to play. He likes the competitive scene. The competitive scene right now at this point in time is in third person, so that's what he's playing. Now I asked him what his favorite loadouts are and why, and I also asked him, kind of couple with this, what is his favorite map and why. Starting with the loadout, he says, like a lot of pros that we featured on the channel, M4 and pretty much any bolt action sniper rifle, Car9, M24, and of course the mother of all sniper rifles, the AWM. He says the M4 because it's the most versatile gun out of them all. It's decent close range and is the best AR to spray anywhere from 1 to 300 meters. And the bolt action because it can get you out. It can get you out of some sticky situations. Plus, getting that headshot knock is very, very satisfying. As far as the map, he says Erangel. He says, in my opinion, it's the best map for competitive because rotations are balanced. It's also unlike any other map that there are so many different styles of terrain that can make for some fun gunfights. All right, so here's a big question that I wanted to ask him, especially for people that are playing iPad. I asked him the controversial question because Richie at one time was playing on a 12.9 iPad. And since then, with competition, or in the competitive scene, there are no iPads, or there's not supposed to be iPads. That's another topic for another day. and I asked him how that transition was as far as switching from the 12.9 and picking up a phone and playing these tournaments. So we'll go ahead and get right into it. So the reason, he says, the reason I started playing on my iPad was because I didn't have a good phone, so I played Rules of Survival on my iPad and just transitioned to PUBG Mobile on the iPad as well. I'd seen games like Critical Ops and other mobile shooter games that is similar to the PC game CSGO have LANs with players playing on iPad, so I never imagined it'd become what it has now, meaning just on phone. He says, but yeah, I definitely think iPads have an advantage. You can see enemies easier on the iPad, and since the screen is bigger, you have more space for your hands. He says, like, you see people using these 8-finger claws on iPads where it's just physically impossible in order to do that on a phone, or at least to use like 8 fingers on a phone effectively. Then I asked him, how long did it take in order to transition from phone or from iPad to phone and pretty much be comfortable? He says, it took me about a month or so to switch from iPad to phone and become comfortable. It took that long mainly because I had to set up all new sensitivities and also find a control layout that I liked, and just in general get used to holding a phone in that position. It was so different considering before I'd always play on my iPad with it resting on my desk. But yeah, after a month or so of adjusting was when I was finally able to get picked up by Team Totality. For those of you guys wondering what teams he's played for, I know he signed on with Lights Out. He then went over to Team Totality. There might have been one that I don't know after Team Totality, but he's now semi-signed, just kind of, testing the waters, if you will, with Buzzkill, which is who I just signed on with. So big shout out, Buzzkill. Watch out, you guys. But yeah, he is right now Buzz Richie. Okay, so now we're gonna get into the big one, you guys. His actual tips and tricks, which I know so many of you guys watch this series for the tips and tricks portion. So we're gonna do that. We're gonna do that right now. And this is chocked full of tips that you guys can start using today to become a better player. So tip number 1, he says get into lots of fights. This is mainly to improve your mechanics and shooting. The only way to get better at this is to practice. And PUBG has given us TDMs to do exactly that. Take advantage of those modes. In every game, you just fly 3,000 meters off plane, loot up for 10 minutes, and hide on the edge of the circle till the end of the game. You aren't going to improve your gun skill as much if you're constantly looking for fights. Be on the move. Number 2, he says, don't be afraid to change your controls, layouts, / sensitivity. He says, I think people get worried that if they change their layouts, that they're going to end up screwing everything up and they'll get worse. But PUBG gives you multiple control layout slots so you can keep the layout you're accustomed to and try out similar layouts with some minor changes. And as well as you can take screenshots of your sensitivity so you can always come back to your old sensitivity if a new one doesn't work out for you. That is beautiful. He says, however, one tiny adjustment of your sensitivity or an adjustment on your HUD layout, these could be just the thing that help you improve your gameplay tremendously. Tip number 3, he says, watch pro players' point of views. Pro players at the top of the game, they're at the top of the game for a reason. If there's anyone to learn from, it's them. So by watching their point of views, whether it's via stream, YouTube videos, or scrims or tourneys, you could definitely benefit from doing this. The main thing to pick up on are how they think or what they do in a given scenario, how they rotate, as well as their gun skill and mechanics. By watching these point of views, you may see someone do something you've never thought would be possible or never been able to do yourself as far as mechanics go. And that takes me back to pro tip number 2, which is where you may need to change your control layouts for a four-finger claw setup from a 3-finger to be able to do that with one extra task basically doing more things at once, using more fingers to do more things at the same time. Tip number 4, practice your comms. It's for, he says, it's for the most part a team game, and good, clear comms are vital to playing well together and having your teammates back and vice versa, building that synergy. When you die, you need to make sure that they know where the enemy is, and then any other important details that can help your teammates win that fight, like how many times you hit them, or if they're rotating, reloading, etc. Tip number 5, and this is a good one. I really liked this tip right here. Tip number 5, always reflect on how you died. Learn from what you could have done differently or better so that you don't make the same mistakes. Adversely, when you win, remember what you did right and why that was the case so you can replicate that in future games. All right, so this next question is from your guys' request from other people that we have featured on this series. A lot of people, nice crossbow shot right there, Jesus. A lot of people have asked about warm-up drills. It's a question that often will pop up in the comment section, so I definitely did not want to forget to ask this question that so many of you have personally requested. So I asked him, do you practice before a scrim or tournament? If so, what are your warm-up drills? He says, in general, I will normally play some regular classic matches with friends before each scrim. But if I don't have time for that, because classics, do take up a lot of time, I'll just hop in a few TDMs or go into the training room to make sure my movement and mechanics are nice and smooth. But as far as a set routine that you see some pros do in the training room, I do not do any of those. So he doesn't have a set shoot so many bullets, at this target, from this range, so on and so forth. He just basically kind of just goes with how he feels, just making sure that you're nice and warm, especially when you're going into something like PMCO, which he did play just a couple weeks ago. But yeah, you guys, let me know what you think before we wrap this up. Incredible insight. Like I said, I know we have featured a lot of YouTube personalities. We've also featured a lot of the people that are pro rankers. But in this series, we also feature the pros themselves, actual people that are being paid to play for esports teams in these leagues, in these scrims. And I mean, guys, just look at the game. Look at the gameplay on your screen. That's what we're going to leave it off with. Like I said, you're probably going to have to watch this twice because there's not only a lot to soak in as far as all the information that was shared, but just the gameplay itself. It really truly is next level. These guys they're second to none. Big shout out to Richie for giving us his time, especially with a job, going to college. He's got the internship thing going on. Dude is going places, and he's playing at that tier 1 level. Incredible. Make sure you guys check him out. Like I said, you can click the information icon in the upper right hand corner. That will lead you to his channel. You can click that card. Also, drop down in the description, and the very first thing you'll see will be a link to his YouTube channel. The question is, can we get Richie to 1,000 subscribers? Let's see if we can do it. But yeah, and of course, if you haven't, of course, like, comment, and subscribe to yours truly. I'm also on Instagram. I've been there about 3 days now. So make sure you guys go ahead and follow me on Instagram. And we'll leave the rest for this gameplay. So, again, hopefully you guys enjoyed.
Oh my god. Yeah, I'm getting body. Give me a sec. I gotta heal. Cover? Oh, what a freaking Kobe, bro.
Let's go. Oh, deep. On the side.
Move.
We don't stop, baby.
Potato, bro. Damn, actually left side. They jumped out. Full team. Bottom floor.
Knocked one
Nice.
bottom.
I'm watching outside.
I'm watching roof. I'm watching roof.
They're all done. I'm 30 behind.
Prone in this corner.
You got him.
Another one.
One more. They're literally on this hill right here. Pushing up. Alright. I can cover you now.
Good.
Come back.
Not the one on the tree.
Right here.
Enemies ahead.
Right
Yeah,
at that.
knocked him. Knocked
Nice
him.
shot.
That guy right?